Religious leaders who are filthy rich. Part 2. If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video. 9. Kenneth Copeland $25 million. Charismatic prosperity preacher Kenneth Copeland knows a thing or two about living the blessed life, as he has enjoyed sitting on his mountain of money for decades. The former pilot and recording artist was once responsible for flying around televangelist Oral Robertson until Copeland started a ministry of his own. As with many of his counterparts on this list, Copeland was hit with a scandal when Tarrant County, Texas, where Copeland's church resides, was subject to a measles outbreak after residents followed Copeland Ministries' alleged anti-vaccination teachings. The church said they've never openly spoken about being anti-vaccination, and to prove it offered free vaccinations at Copeland's church. The minister has often been criticized for his $20 million private jet and avoiding paying taxes on his $6.3 million home, and his private resort vacations, but he and his family don't seem to mind hearing the harsh words. 10. Billy Graham $25 million. At 97 years old, Billy Graham is certainly the oldest person on this list. He's befriended political figures throughout modern history, including Presidents Dwight Eisenhower, Lyndon B. Johnson, and Richard Nixon, but his relationship with Nixon got him caught up in controversy when the former president's incendiary tapes were released. Graham and Nixon were heard discussing Jewish people controlling the American media with a stranglehold. His reputation took a blow, but Graham has been such a staple in international Christian culture that he was forgiven, and his ministries continued to thrive, and some appreciated that, even as a prominent figure in the religious community, he never shied away from stepping into the political arena. 11. Rick Warren $25 million. A purpose-driven life catapulted Rick Warren into the Christian author stratosphere, as both the God-fearing and unbelievers flocked to bookstores to pick up the New York Times bestseller. The son of a minister, the Warren apple didn't fall too far from the preaching tree, and after attending both California Baptist University and the Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, he created Saddleback Church in Lake Forest, California. The church is now the 7th largest in America with 20,000 visiting each week, a far cry from when he preached his first sermon in front of 200 people. 3 years ago, his family experienced a heavy personal tragedy when Warren's youngest son, Matthew, committed suicide after struggling with mental illness. They used the opportunity as a way to minister to those that are still having difficulty with their mental health diagnosis. After a purpose-driven life became successful, selling 30 million copies, not to mention the study guides and DVDs that were later created, Warren stopped taking a salary from his church and even paid back what he earned for his first 25 years there. The Warrens live off of 10% of their earnings, calling it reverse tithing, as Christians are encouraged to give their church that much of what they make. 12. Joyce Meyer $25 million. Walk through any bookstore, and you will see at least 12 Joyce Meyer books for sale, most likely with her smiling face on the back cover. The author, preacher, and motivational speaker has perfected the art of personal branding, and at any given moment around the world, it's not difficult to turn on the television or radio and see her teaching to a massive audience. The St. Louis, Missouri native has been open and honest about her past. Her father sexually, mentally, and emotionally abusing her as a child, her frequenting of bars and overindulging in alcohol, and her divorcing her first husband, who she claims often cheated on her. She was in her 20s in the 1970s, and not a part of any church, when she says God called her name. so she dedicated herself to ministry, and by the 80s she had her own radio program, and less than a decade later she moved to television on WGN in Chicago. Joyce Meyer's ministries now employs more than 150 people globally, and brings in millions of dollars annually. Meyer's home is a grand estate worth millions in Missouri, and she owns a $10 million corporate jet for travel. She's often been criticized for lavish spending, especially on her $20 million ministry headquarters, which is decorated with over $5 million worth of furniture. She doesn't seem to mind the talk, and on her ministry's website she has an option for people to publicly view her financial records. 13. Ernest Angley $15 million. Southern boy Ernest Angley was born into a modest, North Carolina Baptist family, but didn't become a Christian until he was 18 years old. He married his wife Esther and the two began traveling the country in a camper, hosting tent revivals and working as evangelists who offered salvation and healing. The pair settled in Ohio, and it didn't take long before the preacher developed a loyal and active following. The Angleys then bought the local news station, Channel 55, and a building that would become Grace Cathedral, Temple of Healing Stripes. The Ernest Angley Hour was a broadcast that stretched across television, radio, and the internet once a week, and proved to be a moneymaker for the evangelist. He was hit with a scandal when he began preaching that people suffering from AIDS only needed God's healing power to rid themselves of the disease. His newspaper was cancelled for delivery in many places in Africa, but Angley stuck by his faith, saying he has medical proof to back up his claims. The controversy didn't stop there either. News about one of their youth directors who stepped down because of a substance abuse problem began to circulate, as well as rumors from a tabloid that former members told them that women were advised to have abortions and childless men vasectomies. An associate pastor accused Angley of inappropriately touching him, and stepped down from his position, as well as two other members who claimed he sexually abused them. Both Angley and his church called the allegations lies, and the 95-year-old continues to live in Ohio. 14. Juanita Bynum $10 million. Minister, author, and singer Juanita Bynum is one of the most recognized gospel figures in the world. The child actor shifted her focus to ministry once she completed high school, and made a local name for herself when she traveled throughout her native city of Chicago, Illinois, preaching sermons. Soon she was a regular fixture on the popular Trinity Broadcasting Network, where she was able to reach the masses who would soon turn into dedicated followers, fans, and customers. She now heads Juanita Bynum Enterprises, where she's perfected the art of marketing her talents into a booming multi-million-dollar business. 15. Joseph Prince $5 million. Although Joseph Prince was born the son of a Sikh priest, he opted to follow his own path, and built a career as an information technology consultant. His parents named him Zinanamander Jagahu Singh, but when he began working in it, he changed his name. He's the senior pastor of the non-denominational New Creation Church, where 31,000 parishioners visit every week, and when he isn't giving the good word of his congregation, he's traveling the world preaching to hundreds of thousands who hang on to his every word, many times at special conferences for a price. Back in 2008 he found himself the center of controversy when it surfaced that he was bringing in a salary of up to $550,000 a year. He's also amassed his fortune with his books, written and audio, podcasts, and DVD sales.